Hey, good morning. It's Sunday. Sometimes I do videos about what I dream. Sometimes it's in the dark, so I don't forget it. Last night I had a really wild dream. I dreamt that I was going from a couple different places. I dreamt that I was with a group of people who are traveling, three of us, males, and I had found an old bike, like a mode of transport, except for it was clumsy and heavy. But I knew that if I could get on it and ride it, I could get it out there. And everyone else who was traveling in the way that I was traveling was using like cars, and yet there wasn't a lot of people on the road, but they were using better vehicles than I was using. I was using a clumsy thing. Yet I knew that this thing had a lot of speed once I got it up to speed, once I started pedaling it. So I took it out on the road, and I met up with my three friends, and I got to the top of a hill, and they were winded, but I could have made it to the top, and I chose to stop with them. And we looked out, and beyond it, it looked like flats in Asia, big white buildings with a drop-off, and a large backyard with a ride down grass. And one of them dared me to go off to the right, and that was a very large fall. It was fast, like almost a 90-degree slope. But before then, I had been thinking about what was happening on Earth and the energy flow, and then they were showing me that all of these, they look like clownfish. They were orange and white and yellow striped, and they're sitting on the shore, but they had eyes on them that were as big as their bodies, and they were throwing themselves on the shore and dying, and their eyes would get really big. I mean, they'd become so full and swollen, like the people I had seen in another dream that have really big saucer plate eyes. And they were dying, but even if you tried to put them back in the water, they wanted to go out of the water onto the land. And so the person I was with explained to me that the planet that they're on, the reason why those people, those creatures, they're peoples to them, they were coming out of the water was because the planet that they're on creates a sound, a magnetic sound wave that's actually warm to creatures like that they follow for the resources that the planet makes, that enables them to go from one place to the other, to know their paths and their routes that they usually follow. And it overlaps other things, and they were just following the path because their place too is changing, and when their planet gets hit by the radiation, it has to release it as well. And the water, which is not just water, but in between the water, there's certain layers of water that allow for the energy of the planet to leave the planet effectively, that the animals follow. These animals were crushing themselves upon the shore. And then he took me back to my bike, and I went down to the left, and I crashed through a fence, and then I landed in a big pile of sand, and I was very upset because my pencils were there. But I only had one pencil, and it was an old pencil, and I found some new pencils. I actually took 5, and I was told I could take 5. I talked to another small child and a man that looked like an elephant. And then I went with them, and then they took me to a family, and I met the family, and we all sat and we ate grasses, very neat grasses, like celery and stuff like that, and lots of dipping sauce, and we all talked about the things and the way they were, and there was cow people, and there were elephant people, and they were nice. There was a fight. There was a big fight, and the one lady told me how she uses her dog. And it wasn't like a dog. It was more like a jackal-type creature, very short hair, black and white spotted, to run off the rats. And she called them mice, but they look like rats to me, to keep them away from the chickens. And how the dog, which was not much bigger than the rats, would run around the chickens and push the rats away. There was a lot of rats. I would say at least 100 of them. The walls were very smooth, and they were stone. That was in 2 separate places. And then I jumped back from that place over there to another body. And then I was eating Thanksgiving-type dinner with a family in a house that had many rooms. It was a front room, which was more like a sitting hall, and then everyone was there, and I was everyone's ride, so they were riding with me. So it was important that I left soon. And it was really good because they had such good food, and they were so nice. They looked like humans, like us, but they were more distinct. Their faces were more drawn out, larger noses rounded at the ends, not long and pointed. Very beautiful people. It was really nice. Anyways, Oh, and the big thing, the big point about it is what's going to happen here with the Earth is perfectly normal. It's going to pull itself like this. It does it. The Earth creates energy flows. In order to create energy from it, it has to take energy into it. And the way that the Earth spins out that energy is dynamic to the water base of the Earth itself. Water is a form of life in itself. Does that make sense? Water is a form of life in itself. God bless God. I had to remember it, so I had to close my eyes, you know.